Hi, my name is Elizabeth Hoover de Galvez, and I am a librarian at the Central Library. And I'm here today with Emily Steele, who is here to share her Spark story. She is a local business owner, the CEO of Des Moines Hummingbirds, the owner and founder at Love Local, and former president of FemCity Des Moines. She recently founded the Local Business School, a program that helps local business owners create a profitable online presence. You'll hear Steele's Spark story, or what motivates her to strengthen the Des Moines community, and find out what she reads to get inspired. So welcome. Thank you so much for being with us today, Emily.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the work you do in the community?
Yeah. So today it kind of varies depending on the week, season, all those things. But I would say the work I get to do in the community, I'm really focused on communications, marketing, impact, and helping people share their story in a meaningful way. And I do that through Love Local, like you had mentioned, with Local Business School, teaching everyday local business owners how to use the internet to make an impact and draw in new customers and draw in even donors in the nonprofit space. And I get to do that in that program, and I get to work one-on-one with amazing clients, nonprofit organizations, and local businesses as well. And you had mentioned through the Hummingbirds, I kind of co-built a local community of community builders, bloggers, content creators, people who love sharing on social media, different brands they're experiencing or different local events. And so have really built that to be a cool community that has worked. We've done over 100 partnerships over the last 3 years. And yeah, I am an Enneagram 7 who loves creating, loves building, loves trying new things and introducing new ideas to the local market. And I've been doing it for the last decade or so.
And so, how did you get started in this field? What's your spark that inspired you to get involved?
Yeah, I feel like, oh my gosh, this goes back to college, and it goes back to a book, which is so relevant for this conversation. I went to Drake University, and my senior year, as everyone was being asked, what are you going to do with your life? These big, broad questions. You're like, I don't know. It did feel like a lot of my peers were had their path. They knew where they were going to go. They knew they were going to be either corporate America. They something made total sense to them. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I knew I wanted to make a difference, and I knew I wanted to do communications. I had a marketing PR background. So I was like, okay, I'm at least I have this. And so I read a book that was recommended to me at the time. It was called A Million Miles in 1,000 Years by Donald Miller. And the story is basically this guy, famous author, tried to write his next book, and he couldn't. He just, something wasn't working. He kind of became he would probably say a couch potato. He just kind of became a bum and was hoping that next idea would come. And these movie producers kind of came knocking on his door. They were like, hey, we want to do a movie about your life. You're so amazing. He's like, not at the moment. So we decided to create a meaningful life. And I'm really over summarizing it, of course. But one of the things he did as part of his okay, if my life is a story, who would want to read it? One of those little parts of his journey was to bike across America. And I read that and was like, that is so cool. I want to do that. And so in this moment of being I want to write an epic story with my life, here's how he did it. If he could do it, surely I could do it. So I applied to bike across America, raise money for clean water in Kenya. I was accepted somehow, some way. I didn't own a bike. I was not trained at all, but they were like, sure, come join us. And in 2012, the hottest summer on record ever, I biked from San Diego to Myrtle Beach, and I raised, I think we raised almost $40 to $50,000 for clean water. And I was with 9 strangers. And that is my spark story. That is the experience. I think this video. So I ended up getting a bike tattoo because I learned how capable I am, and how much I was holding myself back in my mind, where we're really limitless as humans when we believe in the possibility of ourselves. So that book opened me up. I came back and I started a local bike ride for clean water projects in Ghana. I've been doing that over the last 10 years, and helped build 3 wells, a school, fund teachers. And honestly, from there, I could talk a lot because I've created a lot of fun little brands, but that is like the spark story that showed me that how you can make a difference just by like cycling on a bicycle with a group of humans across the country. And just that I came back to Des Moines and was so energized and have carried that energy and enthusiasm to champion ideas that I think matter, whether they're nonprofit or for-profit ideas.
And so, going into your current efforts, the Hummingbirds and the Love Local, it seems like one of your focuses is really about helping local business owners get the word out about them and be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you focused on that particular effort now as a job?
Yeah, it's a job, it's my career for now. I grew up in Pella, Iowa, and we had like this really robust, beautiful local community. I mean, if anyone's listening and they've been there, like, yes, like that town square is like so darling. And like that's just what we did. We would go to every local shop to do almost all of our shopping needs. And I just grew up around it. I loved it. And I remember my first official job out of college, I was doing neighborhood revitalization work. And I just really clicked with me in a new way that local businesses are so important in the culture, the experience people have in a city. It's why people visit, it's why people stay, it's why people choose to live in specific neighborhoods. It's so important. And I just realized that a lot of the trainings and things happening in the kind of the business world were really for small business. And small business is a really big bucket. And local business falls into that. But like I just love working with like the brick and mortar retail store, the brewery, the like people who have like that really focused interaction with a local resident or people from out of town. And because I had spent some of my own time building my own local companies like Pop-Up Yoga Des Moines and FemCity Des Moines, I knew I had what it took to teach people how to do this as well, do it for them, or teach them kind of the ideology and the strategies and tactics to do it. So local's been like so important to me because of where I grew up. And then just watching how important it was in the kind of neighborhood community development work I was doing, like I knew I wanted to be part of it in some way and helping sustain and grow and help these individuals flourish, especially like during COVID. That was really when it became apparent how important my role could be in the education and empowerment space for sure.
And so, yes, I think COVID really brought to light
Mm-hmm.
all of the struggles of local businesses,
Yeah.
and helped us see that we really need to support our local businesses to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that they continue surviving through this really difficult time.
Yeah.
Um, so, can you talk a little bit more about your vision for what you hope to achieve in the community in the future? Like, what are you working towards? What are some of the things you're excited about doing and accomplishing as you kind of move forward?
Yeah. I guess I like from the Love Local perspective, I hope I can be a resource to local business owners and I think growing a business takes so much out of a human. And it just is like having a business is like having a baby and like it asks so much of you. And to be that like sounding board for people, to be that person who's like, hey, if you're going to use Instagram, here are like the 3 things you should really do, like ditch the other things. Like I want to be that person, that company that's like, here really truly like we've got you, we know what works, we've tested, we've tried it, like let us support you. If we could like be Des Moines best advocate for local businesses and like be that resource, like that would be incredible. And to take local business school beyond Des Moines, which we have at this point, to other kind of Iowa states or cities in Iowa, to be that like hub, that like place people go to really have that really empowering experience with building a profitable and like enjoyable business. And with Hummingbirds, like we've just created so much momentum in Des Moines that we're hoping we can create little hummingbird charms. It's a group of hummingbirds is a charm, which is so adorable, in other cities and show like cities what it looks like to have people sharing what they're experiencing and how much that really does support so many, the economy, the people's experiences, their connectedness in a community. Social media can be so powerful in a positive way, of course, in a negative way too, but we want to move the tide towards the positivity and the social sharing. So I just like, yeah, I want to make an impact, but I'm so like open to how it shifts and moves. And I think as like an early adopter person, I'm always looking for those like next great ideas that can move someone forward in their business. So I think that's my response.
And can you talk about any books that you have read that have been really, I mean, you already mentioned The Million Miles in a Thousand Years. That
Yeah.
was your
Yeah.
spark. Are
Mhm.
there others that you want to talk about that, or even other writing that has been influential, whether that's a blog or some other
Mhm.
magazine source, that have been really influential for you as you've kind of worked towards this early adopter,
Yeah.
great new vision, new ideas that you're bringing to the
Oh,
community?
it's so hard to be like, this is the one. Because The Million Miles in a Thousand Years was like the book, right? For me, that like shifted things. That's so monumental. But I also remember in 2014, and I love nonfiction. I love fiction too, but like I'm always drawn to nonfiction because I like learning from people's stories, like real people most of the time. So I read in 2014, You're a Badass by Jen Sincero. And that just like, I don't know. She just is a spunky woman who offers a new perspective on how to live life. And I like ate it up. And it just like, as someone who felt sometimes so limited being like from a small town and following the rules and doing all these things right, I just was like, oh my gosh, you really can create whatever life you want. And that kind of came from that book from Biking Across America, but it was just written in a different way. And I love that. And I really loved reading Shoe Dog, um, a memoir by Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. I just think that book was so well written. And just that entire story, you think like, oh, you're reading the story about Nike. It's just the level of detail and the stories inside of that are just phenomenal. So I'm a huge nonfiction, like self-development, self-help junkie.
Great. Those are all excellent suggestions. Is there anything else you want to share?
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, I just feel so grateful to, I know a lot of the guests are just like amazing humans in Des Moines. I feel like this is such a great community to collaborate and partner and like make a difference and feel like you really can as just an everyday person. Like as someone who didn't live here, I felt like, who am I to like show up and try to make an impact? But I think people really welcome that. And so I just, anyone who has an idea, like if anyone feels like they need to have like someone pump them up about their idea, like feel free I to reach out. I love connecting with people and just sharing like how to bring something to life. I'm so energized by that. But I think like the biggest thing I would share that I get to work on right now is our annual event Flourish. We're going to do that this year. It's kind of like Shark Tank meets Kickstarter. We were chatting before recording about just kind of like how do we like nonprofit tend to have a lot of like grant funding opportunities and donation opportunities where these like for-profit businesses that are kind of like trying to make it to that next spot in their lives and their business, you don't have quite the funding available. And so I had this idea to create this event called Flourish Fund Ideas That Matter, where any female identified business owner can apply with their idea that they think people could get excited about. And we have a review committee that goes through the applications, and then 3 women get to pitch their idea in front of a live audience. So we're doing that this fall at Jasper Winery. And we're opening this up on July 1 for people to start applying. But I think it's just a fun way to support ideas that are for a greater purpose. Like I think about Jamie, who owns the collective in Des Moines, where she sells like sustainable items. And like, that's great because you get to purchase locally, but you know, your purchase goes towards like a more sustainable lifestyle, which is good for the planet, blah, blah, blah. So I just like those. It's really exciting that we get to do it this year because we held off last year because we just love the in-person magical experience of it. So yeah, that too, just like kind of following that path and being curious about it and saying, hey guys, I have this idea. Who wants to join and make it happen? And here we are. We get to make it happen together. So yeah, thanks so much for having me today.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think that's one of the things that you achieve really well is just coming up with these ideas and then bringing people together in a very uh, purposeful gathering, like the FemCity idea is like connecting women who are business women
Yeah.
downtown and like creating a network of people who can make things happen for each other. And I think
Yeah.
that's just a beautiful vision. So I'm so
Thank
excited to
you.
have met you, and thank you
Same.
so much for joining us on Spark Stories
Oh my
today.
gosh. Yes. Thanks for having me. It was such a pleasure.
Um, so thank you again to our audience for tuning in for this episode of Spark Stories. We hope you'll join us again next month and that you enjoyed Emily Steele's Spark Story. Thank you very much.